Welcome to Alpha. I'm Coach Danny, and with me today is my athlete, Ryan. Alpha is a high-intensity, high-skill, competitive style of workout. Today, we're going to take you through a workout that's going to go through some skills, some power, and it's going to go into a challenging metcon. You are going to want a couple things before we get started. Make sure that you've got a water bottle and a towel. There's going to be a couple times that I know you're going to want water, and we're going to get you working where you're going to need to wipe up that sweat. We're also going to use a jump rope today. And if you see, we have a box that we're going to use for a wall walk progression, but if you don't have something you can elevate your feet on, that's okay. I'll give you some options. Same thing as we get to a jump rope. I do want to note that even if you don't have a jump rope, even a regular piece of rope can work here, and in fact, often makes the workout extra challenging. So if you have something, grab it. If you don't have it, that's okay. We'll go through it. The other thing I want you to make sure you do if you have one is get your heart rate monitor on and get the Lifetime app going. While today's workout isn't going to be incredibly heart rate dominant, we're going to focus a little bit more on movement skills and challenging the muscle system. It's still a great idea to track your heart rate. One way you can see progress is by looking at your heart rate through the course of that workout and what actually happens. So if you have it, put it on. Other than that, let's talk about today's workout. We're going to go through a 5-minute warm-up flow. Within this, you're going to move through 4 movements, just trying to gently go through them. This isn't the workout, so we're just trying to get your body moving. After that, we're going to combine our skill and our power work together into a circuit to challenge you a little bit. We're going to go through some jump lunges. I know Ryan's excited to do those. We're going to do a wall walk progression, which is really just focused on teaching you how to get your arms overhead, building a lot of great shoulder stability. And then we're going to do some broad jumps to really challenge that power. After that, we're going to move into a countdown-based metcon. What that's going to look like is just moving through a series of exercise from 30, 20, 10, and finally to 5 of everything. We're going to complete each movement and those reps before going into the next. So this workout is going to challenge that muscular system a little bit more. All right, with that, let's get started. Our 5-minute warm-up is going to start with first 30 mountain climbers. So I'm going to get Ryan into a push-up position, and in that mountain climber, he's just going to bring a knee into his body and kick it back out. So let's go through it. 1, 2, each one. He can speed through it. If you're not comfortable there, you can go with that nice light movement. So again, this is a warm-up. What we're aimed at doing here is driving our arms into the ground, bracing our shoulders, getting that stuff warm as we brace our hips, keep our abs in. If you notice, he's going to toss a little rotation in there. All of these are great ideas as you move through this workout. Again, this is a flow. We will get back to that. So he's going to go through it. After that, we're going to go lateral lunge. In this one, we want them in place. Feet wide, toes forward, and he's just going to lunge up and back to the other side. So there's no stepping. I don't want you to have to find where your foot goes. What you should feel as you do this is a big stretch through the inner thigh. So if he lunges to his right, should feel a nice stretch through that inner thigh. You want your weight right in the mid part of your foot. The biggest mistake people make on this as they lunge is they pick that toe up, make sure that foot stays planted down. So we're going to do 10 of these. That's 10 on each side. Once he's done with that, we're going to come down into hands and knees for a thoracic rotation. So hands and knees, you're going to bring your hips down towards your feet. So sink back for me just a little bit. First, we'll go right side. Take your right hand behind your head. From there, you're going to bring that elbow up towards the ceiling and then rotate it down as far as you can. Good. And then back up. That's 1. What he's focused on is really opening up the right side of his chest as he goes, pushing his left arm into the ground, rotating the right arm up. As you do this motion, you should almost feel a big stretch or pull right through this mid part of your torso as you go through. We're going to do 10 of these on one side and then 10 on the other. Excellent. Whole time, try to keep those hips pushed back. What we might see is if you let your hips move a little bit too much, we might start to see that motion come through the low back. We don't want that. We want it all from rib cage up. All right, other side. There you go, 10 times. 2. Great work. Again, nice and stable. Hips down, all the movement happens here. Reach that arm up at the ceiling every time. Down, reach up. 10 total. Nice work, Ryan. Almost done. If you moved a little bit faster, if you're done, you're just gonna go right back into mountain climb. So mountain climb is next. Again, feel free to take a break. This is a flow. We're not trying to jack your heart rate up. We're not trying to get you working too hard, but we do want you breathing a little bit. We want that sweat going before we move into the harder skill work. All right, again, feel free to play with different types here, right? It's okay to challenge yourself right away with faster motion. As you get a little bit tired, slow it down, add a little rotation component. Let's go, lateral lunges again. Feet wide, toes stay straight forward, body stays upright, chest is tall. If you notice, he's sinking the hip back into it every time. Good. Again, this is an area for a lot of people where they're fairly tight. So if you at home need to start with your feet in a little bit closer as you sink, that's okay. As it gets easy, try to get those feet out wider and wider to get a nice stretch through that inner thigh. We're gonna do a bunch of air squats later in the workout, so we really wanna make sure that we've loosened up those hips and we can sink down into that squat position nice and easy as we go through it. We've just got about a minute left in this flow, so he'll finish out these lateral lunges. And then with only about a minute left, let's go down and just give me 5 rotations on each side. Again, this is just a warm up. It's okay if you modify these rep ranges just a little bit. If you want to do a few less each time, that's okay. If you want to go through a little bit faster, if you really like one of these movements and want to get a couple in, great, do that, right? Go through a little bit more. 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, come on up. I'm gonna walk through each of the movements in this next section. See, he catches his breath a little bit there. We got him working a little bit. So as we go into it, we're gonna combine our skill work and our power work today. We're gonna do that for a couple reasons. One, there's gonna be some rest in between them. So to be most efficient with our time through this, we're gonna combine it together. And we know our skill work, while it's challenging, it's gonna be a little more upper body focused, while our power exercises are both lower body focused. So we'll let those legs rest in between as we go through it. So our first thing is gonna be a jump lunge. In the jump lunge, we're gonna go down, we're gonna sink down into a lunge, we're gonna explosively jump up and switch legs. Once you get comfortable with it, you might be able to switch legs, sink right back down into that jump. If you can't, you'll land and then you'll switch feet. That's okay. Again, just like everything else when we talk power, the intent is to move fast. It doesn't matter how high you get, but you want to reach for it. So we'll give you some modifications as Ryan's going, but our first one is going to be the jump lunge. Our second one is, like I said, we can talk about it as a wall walk, but what we're going to do is we're going to start with feet elevated like a push-up. From there, I'm gonna walk my hands back as far as I can. So I'm trying to get my head right under my hands, if I can, even picking up those hands a little bit, and then I'm gonna walk out. Right away, if you're saying, hey, I don't have something I can put my feet on, I'm not sure I can do that, what you're gonna do is just start with your feet on the ground and walk your hands up. If you happen to have space at home, where you have a nice big clear wall space, feel free to walk your feet up the wall as you'd walk into that full walk. We know a lot of people don't have that room, so we're gonna start here. And then our third one is gonna be a broad jump. We're just gonna have Ryan step back, jump forward off 2 feet as far as he can. You'll see that one as we go to it. But so we're gonna move through each one of these exercises, then rest a minute before going through it again. You're gonna do that 3 times. Again, the intent is to move quickly, but this isn't for time, so make sure you take that extra breath as you need it. All right, so first thing is the jump lunges. We're gonna do 6 total or 3 on each leg. So let's get into it. Big power up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and rest. Again, before you go in here, if you're not quite there, that's okay if it's a little bit smaller, but we wanna see that nice intent every time. All right, now it's just gonna be, we're gonna go 3 to 5 wall walks, right? And let's just start with 3. So he's gonna walk himself up. Good, he's really focused on pushing into there. Excellent, now let's come back out. What we're focused on here is really activating all these muscles through the shoulder. It's the mid-traps, the serratus. We're really working on that shoulder flexibility. A lot of people really struggle to get their arms up overhead. This is fantastic for it, as well as teaching you to get inverted, which if we really think about our skill-based movements, being able to do something like a handstand walk, this is our progression. And now we've got broad jumps. We're going 5 broad jumps. Each time, jump in as far forward as we can. 1, so take back, you're probably in place, take a nice long step back. 2, good. If you notice, every time what we're trying to do, pump the arms, get a nice long jump. 3, 2 more. 4, 1 more. There's no approach to this. He's taking off, nice explosive hip movement, and 5. Okay, go ahead and take a break. We've got 1 minute rest. This is where you get your water. This is where you wipe down, deep breaths, take a full minute, and then we're gonna go back through this. So after your first time through, you've got a decent idea of what we can do in the movement. It's time to challenge yourself. So again, he's doing this squat jump, this jump lunge. On this one, what we're really focused on is high as possible and as quick of a split as possible. Something I wanna mention, especially as you're going for it, if your legs get tired, there's nothing wrong with stopping, reset to make sure you're in a great lunge position before you come down and go again. If you're gonna notice, Ryan's gonna be able to go right through it. All right, and we are ready to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Awesome, some deep breaths. Again, 3 wall walks. If you need to, don't be afraid to come down onto the ground. Start here, totally okay. If 3 feels easy, add an extra rep or 2 here. Walk in, excellent. Every time what we're trying to do is end with our ears right aligned with our shoulders. He's pushing himself through. All right, and 3. Good, come on down. Switch your back nice and far. On these broad jumps, make sure you got room, especially as you get nice and explosive. 1, 2. Here we go. If you notice how he's going to use his arms. 3. 2 more. 4. And last one. 5. Good. Again, minute rest here. Great work. Minute recovery. So the intent with the power-based exercises is to really focus on pushing as much force as we can into it. When we don't necessarily have a full set of weights at home where we can do some sort of heavy lifting, we can use these power-based exercises to replicate and work those same muscle fibers. We call our type 2 or fast twitch muscle fibers. They get worked the same way in a heavy squat as they would in this broad jump. So by doing this, we're gonna help work and preserve those fibers so when you get back into the gym and you're able to go back to your class and do a box jump, do a power clean, any of those things, you're gonna be ready for it. In fact, you're probably gonna find you're even better. So if you need a little bit more than a minute here, that's okay. Ryan looks ready to go. So we've got our last round here. 6 jump lunges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Fantastic. 3, we got wall walks first. All right. Again, don't be afraid to go to a modification to keep the movement quality good. If you remember at the beginning, I talked about this as being the skill and power-based section of the movement. So this isn't about how challenging you can make it from a standpoint of doing something that you're not comfortable with. This is all about movement quality. If you notice, as he brought himself down, we're adding that little shoulder tap to it to get a little more comfortable on one arm. And then last one, got broad jumps. 1, 2, 3, last 2, 4, one more time, 5, fantastic. All right, recover, cool down, bring that heart rate back down, and I'll intro your next series, which is gonna be the metcon. Like I mentioned at the beginning, this metcon is not quite as heart rate based as some are gonna be. That doesn't mean it's not gonna be a great workout. That doesn't mean it's not gonna get your heart rate up, but a lot of the movements here are gonna be a little bit more muscularly challenging. So we're gonna move through a series of push-ups, sit-ups, air squats, and jump rope. What we're gonna look at is we're just gonna move from 30, 20, 10, and 5 of each. So Ryan will do 30 push-ups, then he'll move into 30 sit-ups, then he'll move into 30 air squats before he goes and does 30 jump rope. Again, we'll talk about some modifications right here in just a second as we go through that. Don't be afraid to change as you go through. So if he starts at the beginning and does 30 push-ups, feels great there. After that first set, maybe that's a bit much. Totally okay to elevate yourself up. Maybe it's onto the box that you have or whatever you used for that. or it's go to the knees, just fine. On those squats, maybe you can't quite get as much depth. Maybe you do squat to a chair, squat to something. Totally okay. If you don't have a jump rope at home, I did mention that you can use anything like a piece of rope. What you want to do is step on it. It should get just about to your armpit. That's how you know you've got a good height on your jump rope. At the end of the day, if you don't have that, we're going to simply have you simulate. I do want you to simulate that you're jumping rope and not just jump in place, because I do want to bring that skill set over when you come back into alpha class. So as Ryan's doing it, we will talk about some technique that we're looking for within that jump rope just to make sure we've got it. But so it will be a simulated jump rope. Feeling good? Feeling ready? This workout is for time. What that means is he's going through it as fast as he can. So you at home, you're going to go through it. I want you to start a timer right at the beginning of it. What you're going to look at is after you finish, you'll stop right at the end. Now you've got a time to beat. The next time you come back to this workout, you get to race yourself. Now, we always say it's you versus you. So this is your baseline the next time you come back to it. So make sure right as you're getting started, we're going to start a timer in ready, set, and go. 30 push-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to take over. You keep counting. I'm going to trust that Ryan's going to count these correctly because I want to talk through it. If you notice he's moving a little faster in the push-up, that's great. That's what we want here. This isn't necessarily about tempo. We want good technique. We want abs braced. We want full lockout, but it's okay to move a little bit faster here. Great. You're going to sit-ups next. Sit-ups are going to be on your back. There you go. Down. I want to touch behind, and I want him to touch right on his heels every time. That just gets a nice little standard. So the next time you go through it, you do it the same way every time. If you're not able to do that, feel free to modify down to a crunch. Just take the movement down a little bit lighter, make it easier. And at worst case scenario, just cut a few reps out of it. That's totally okay. But we're going for 30 in a row here. Every time, bracing those abs, pushing the low back into the ground as you come up. Great work. Again, this is the type of workout. 30's a lot. It's easy to go out really hot, but we got to complete them before we move on to the next thing. So I'm going to keep going. But if you've got to take mini breaks in your set, that's just fine. You'll take breaks as necessary. Remember, you are on the clock. You are racing yourself, so avoid those breaks. Every time he's getting that great exhale, he's not forgetting to breathe. Great job, Ryan. Keep going on those sit-ups. Looking strong, looking strong. All right, now he's up. Got air squats. So on your air squats, feet are gonna be shoulder width apart. Weight is right through your midfoot, maybe biased towards your heels. This is an easy one right away. Don't cut depth. I want you to make sure that you get your hip below your knee if you can. So we're gonna sink down into that nice deep squat, and we're gonna stand all the way up at the top. So the idea is that we lock out at the top of that squat every time and then start again. So just because it's fast, just because we're going for time, doesn't mean that we should cheat those reps. We want them to look great every time. An air squat is a deceptively challenging movement. You think, hey, I can squat with weight, I'm strong, I know how to do it. Don't underestimate this. This will be really challenging. Feel free to break it into chunks as necessary. Remember, after the 30, we've got a 20, a 10, and a 5. There's a lot of squatting left, so let's keep it light. He's done, he's gonna move into the jump rope. Again, at home, if you have a jump rope, awesome. Our standard here is gonna be just a regular jump rope. You notice he's 30 times through. At some point, if you've got this down, if you've got the skill and you wanna move into a double under where you're letting that rope pass through twice, that's awesome. Go for it, give yourself a challenge. We're gonna try it out a little bit here, but that's not necessary. This is just meant to give your muscles a bit of a break, bring your heart rate down. He's gonna drop that rope. Remember, this is for time, so as quick as we can make those transitions, at the same time, we wanna be able to do it. 20 reps here. Let's do it. Abs in tight, come on, good reps every time. Down all the way up, don't cheat those reps. Core braced as we go through it. Make sure you're breathing. Get that head nice and long for me. Don't reach your head, reach your chest to the ground. Chest to the ground, there we go. Sit-ups are next. We're going right through it. You should be breathing heavy. At this point, we're not quite, but we're almost halfway through the repetitions in the workout because it keeps getting easier. Should be feeling a decent amount of muscular burn as you go through this. There we go, keep going through it. Remember, this style workout, this is a little bit longer. It's 4 time, it's really lactate building. You feel that burn in your muscles. This is a fantastic way to challenge your muscular system, get your muscles really turned on, really burning some fat, really spread that distance between, is this cardio, is it strength? This is both. Keep pushing, you're doing great, man. Almost there. Every time. Great job. Let's get through 20. Make sure you're working hard. All right, up, we've got air squats. Remember, good squats every time. Weight is through the midfoot, head is reached up to the ceiling, abs are braced, hips lock out every time. At home, we should be feeling those quads working a ton right now. Should be breathing fairly heavy. Make sure you're taking a deep breath every time. Nice inhale, exhale, moving through it. We're doing great. We're gonna make it through. Once you've got the 30 and the 20 down, the rest of it is smooth sailing. It's home stretch. Good, here we go. Let's get 20 jump rope in. What we want is a nice long body. Core is braced nice and tight as we rotate. Don't let yourself pike your legs out or bend your knees. If you see, even when we go into that double under, the whole body stays nice and long. Is that 20? I trust you. Let's go. 10. Let's get in here. Come on. Now we're really counting down. We should be able to accelerate. We should be able to get going faster. 10. Don't break. Go right into it. If you need to, that's okay to drop into a modification. Go right into our sit-ups. Let's go. Almost there. This is where we accelerate. We're over halfway. We're almost done with the workout. We're counting down our time. 10s are easy. You just did 30. 10 is nothing. 10 is almost done. Come on, finish them out. Here we go. Again, use those abs, but don't be afraid to get those arms into this motion to make this happen. This is 4 time. We did our technique, we did our power work. Air squat, 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and tall at the top. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's get 10. Let's go 10 dubs. You got it. We're almost done. Get into that jump rope. Breathe. 2. It's all right. Remember, the intent of this every time is to finish the reps. That's okay if you stop. It's okay if your jump rope misses. But what we're trying to do is finish them out every time. Awesome work, Ryan. Here we go. Last one. 5. 5 is the victory lap. This is easy. 2, 3, 4, 5. Sit-ups. 1, 2, 3, 4. One more. 5. And up. Air squats. 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There you go. Last thing you have to do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Time. 7:20. Awesome work on that time. Remember, when you're done, make sure you hit stop on the timer. Make sure that you take note of that time. The next thing I want you to do is take note of how you did each motion. So if you started like Ryan did, where you started the single under, and as it got a little bit easier, you went to a double under where you knew you were a little more confident, that's awesome. Write down what happened there. So every time you do this workout, you're comparing similar to similar. Now we've got a great baseline of where we're at. By this point, your whole body should be really full of lactate. That's exactly what we want. That's that burn feeling. That's what we were going for. The biggest thing you gotta make sure at this point is that we get a cool down in. So what I want you to do, I want you to move around. Maybe that means go for a walk outside, even if it's just up in place, but I want you standing and moving. You're walking in place, you're just moving your body around. The worst thing that you can do right now is go immediately into sitting. At that point, your muscles are gonna stiffen up and they're gonna tighten up. So take the time to cool down after you've moved around a little bit. As your heart rate starts to come down, at that point, I want you to start just doing a little bit of stretching. We did a lot of work for the quads today. If you've got a foam roller at home, it's gonna be a great idea to spend some time there, stretch out those quads a little bit, especially same thing, chest stretch, work on those pecs. On your next day, it's a great time to put something like a yoga flow in. You're probably going to be fairly sore from this workout. That's normal. That's to be expected. When you come back to this, which I would recommend maybe next week, we come back, do this same workout, you're gonna know what to expect. It's not gonna be quite as bad. Those muscles are gonna feel a little bit better. You're gonna be a little stronger, and you're gonna be able to go faster. The last thing I'm gonna say with this workout is the great part about this rep scheme is it's really modifiable. If you finish this workout, if you're like Ryan here who looks, hey, I could probably add a round or two, great, do that. You want an ultimate challenge, start at 40. 40, 30, 20, 10, 5 is gonna really change the intent. It's gonna get nasty, it's gonna get hard right away, and it's an awesome way to do it. If not, add somewhere else in there. Instead of dropping by 10s, drop by 5s, 30, 25, 20, right? Just like that. So there's a whole bunch of ways we can do this as you get faster. I want this workout to take you somewhere in between, let's call it 6 to 15 minutes. If it's taking longer than that, that's just a little too slow. We want to speed you up a little bit. And if you're faster than about 6 minutes, it's probably just a little too easy and a little too quick. So let's crank it up a little bit the next time that you go through it. But with that, thanks so much for doing the workout with us today, and I'll see you next time.